Hey, it's Shabes, and welcome to another edition of AniTube Digest, where we go over the best and not so best anime YouTube videos to come out this week from the 2nd of November to the 9th of November. And this week, I didn't really think if there was a video I thought was not good. So they're all pretty decent to good here. But then there's a lot. I watched a lot of videos today, no less than 20 that I have for you in Digest. I think it's a new record, maybe. I don't know. But in saying that, there might not be a lot of detail in a lot of these because they kind of blend together, and all was like, yeah, that was okay. Like, that was fine. I don't have too much like explicit critique or detailed things to say, I guess. But we'll see how it goes, I guess. So in that case, I'm going to start at the top with just a slight recommendation. I don't know. It's a good video, I think. Studio Taka put out another lore video that I edited, and I wanted to push it to you guys because, it's something I helped make, There's some nice little edits in there. It's about Griffith's greatest Griffith's greatest strategic achievement. This idea of mankind's desire, and it's kind of just generally going over Griffith's trajectory from when he's resurrected after Eclipse through the Millennium Falcon arc and into Fantasia, and why they're doing the thing that they're doing, the God Hand, and what his overall goals might be, and it's pretty good. It's very similar things I have about the lore videos in general. With the language is a lot richer and a little soupy for me, and I don't have that much attachment to the series after Golden Age, just because it's very all this lore stuff and kind of the world altering and the genius of Miura and stuff. It all comes secondary to a lot of things I do like about Berserk, which is its artistry and its relationships to its main characters, which doesn't really go into here. It's more summarizing and stuff like that. But I think it pieces things together that a lot of people might not have picked up on, because the art might be so good, or they're looking moment to moment, and the way it's kind of unsynchronized. Like you're following between Guts' perspective and Griffith's and everything, and a lot of different things, and the way it's progressing, you might not really catch on what's going on right away. And like, wait, why are they fighting these guys? Or who are these people that they're fighting? And things like that. At least that's how I kind of felt about it when reading through it. But this consolidates it very well. So I wanted to throw that out for you guys as a thing to start with. Kind of cool. But let's talk about some videos I thought were decent. Not that the Taka video wasn't decent, but just as a starter. I don't really want to put any of these in not good. Although I will say this particular entry, I didn't have the best time with it, but I completely understand why, and I should be expecting that, knowing these two individuals for a little while now. Eff-fume, I forget how she pronounces it, so I didn't want to, but I say it as eff-fume on Twitter, and Critical, two big anti-Twitter users, and very the word I want to say is abrasive. Okay, they're very loud hot takes with a lot of very critical of anime, but also really liking a lot of the popular stuff too. They're not like super haters or anything like that. And that's why I ultimately like what they have to say about things, and that they give a lot of these shows a chance and stuff, even though very oftentimes they really hate it to pieces. Because they still like this stuff a lot, and they're liking a lot of current stuff too. It's actually mostly current stuff that they really enjoy. It's not that they're like old fag elitists or something like that either, which is good. But yeah, so they started a podcast. And this is I wanted to include this mainly because it's exciting to see figures of anime Twitter moving to this space and doing something like this. I think it's great. Technically, I think it's really sound. Visually, that there's nice visuals, mostly things to listen to. Obviously, it's a podcast. I thought there was a couple weird pauses. I thought it could be edited sharper in terms of like the actual technical construction of the podcast. Like there was a lot of pieces where there's the kind of dead air. And I know you cut some pieces out because you said you were recording for like an hour and 20, and then the final one is hour 15. So you did cut things, so that's good. But you know, there's just something to mark for some improvement. I was noticing that on a technical level, but I like the visuals you're choosing, everything, and the way you're representing yourselves and everything. And I know that F and Critical have very, very good chemistry with each other. They watch most of the stuff that they watch together, it seems. It's at least that's what I perceive. There might be some things that each of the other person watches on their own, but usually it seems it's together, and that lends a lot of credence to like supporting each other in their perspective and in the content that they give you with their takes on these shows. Most of which in this particular episode is very negative. They only really speak praises of like ReZero season 2 and some God Demon High School. It's one of the not isekai. It's one of the light novel things that came out last season. I heard some good things about it, but not like glowing or whatever. It's like, yeah, that's actually better than expected sort of deal. So they praised that a good deal. But that wasn't the majority of the episode. They can go on a lot longer talking about how much they don't like certain things and how problematic or things, you know, complaining about stuff. And if you know me, you know, that's not my thing. I don't really like hearing that sort of discussion just because I don't find it all that interesting or additive or anything. And it doesn't help that like the way that they talk about it is very surface level. Like it's just from their raw experience, not trying to be like super additive. No, okay, so it's like they're not coming sympathetically towards this. They're really like, I don't give a fuck this show, I hate it, this is bad, they literally in several entries they're like, the music's bad, the animation's bad, the story's bad. Like they just use the word bad. And like if I didn't know these guys and I hadn't known them for a while, and like of course I wouldn't like this, right? There's not a lot of substantive points of criticism that they were saying. They were just like, this is ugly, this is bad, this is shitty, and they're very surface like buzzword type of thing. And they're not really coming from the sympathetic like, it was made by this person, this was their intention, and like it because of whatever. I don't know, it's not palatable for me. But it might be really fun for a lot of people who watch these shows with them. And this is the other thing, right? I have no attachment to these shows. I didn't watch Rent-A-Girlfriend. I didn't watch Guy to High School. I didn't watch Millionaire Detective. I don't think I watched a single show that they talked about. Origairu they didn't like. The New Higurashi, Decadence. Yeah, I don't think I've seen a single one. So it's like, yeah, fine. But I don't know. Even like, yeah, I'm cool with them talking shit about these shows because I really don't care. And they don't look that appealing. So I kind of believe them. And it's like, yeah, fine. But it's just like, I would rather listen to somebody who likes the show that they're talking about and have that go on for a while. It's disappointing that like, for as much as they liked ReZero season 2 and this other show, they're relatively shorter sections compared to how long they can go off on these other things. Is something that it's a disappointment for me. But like again, I know these guys, and this is what I was expecting, and it was good to hear them and to I would say go out of their comfort zone, because it's like they don't have to do this. They don't have to record a whole podcast and then put their thoughts like that in ways that aren't tweets, that like you can spend time crafting, like you can write them and choose the right photos and things like that I'm sure they've done for a while, and that they're pretty successful at. Both of them have gained pretty significant followings doing that, as well as their various collages and stuff, which they're also very good at. So it's, I think bringing it into a different medium is really exciting to see, even though it's like, it's not the thing I'm looking forward to. Like, wow, that was great. To me, it's not what I would want to listen to. But if you know these guys, if you've seen these guys on Twitter, or if you want someone to really take some of these shows to town and beat the shit out of them, it is rare. You don't get a lot of podcasts like this, so I think it's a unique thing to see. So I am looking forward to more and for more improvement. In terms of like that would be kind of what I'm looking for is more like maybe talking about stuff that you like. And it really make that's my perspective as usual. That's no surprise coming from me. Yeah, I enjoyed it for the most part. I got sent a video. I forgot the guy who sent it to me, and I'm sorry, I forget. It was offhand, but I obviously put this video on my watch later. He's like, "Hey, my buddy worked on this video, and I wanted you to see what you thought of it." Every Rent-A-Girlfriend girl ranked from worst to best, and it's 5 minutes. And Lord Daiki here isn't trying to like make this super objective or like really reading into it or something like that. I think it's coming mostly from a very surface level, kind of lighthearted perspective. And he cracks a lot of jokes here, actually. I really liked his sense of humor. This sense of humor is obviously very common now in YouTube, that a lot of people have used it, where they take clips that they find funny and everything and incorporating it into their humor and sort of thing, like using those as reactions and things like that. And I love that kind of humor. But it's always in the art of like getting good, like using interesting, visceral, and unique clips. And I think there is a specific talent and skill to that, and I think Daiki's really good at that. It wasn't super convincing. I haven't seen Rent-A-Girlfriend. I really don't give a shit. I wasn't gonna be like, yeah, he's so right about that one character, and like whatever. But yeah, I thought it was neat to see. I think his humor is definitely what carries it and carries my attention through the whole video. I didn't want to click off the video. That's the thing with a lot of sometimes with videos, right? Where you're just kind of listening to them and you kind of zone out. You pay attention to something else. Like, I wonder what Twitter's saying. You know what I mean? But it kept my attention, actually, for like a show that I don't give a shit about. I think his sense of humor and charisma in the video, I think, was really palpable. So I really enjoyed that and would like to see more. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I'm sorry I don't have much else to say. Because again, I'm not like super into this show or anything like that. So I'm like, I can't make super detailed observations. And again, I saw a lot of videos this week. But that's something I remember from it. And I was like, I laughed at that one. That one made me laugh. 7 out of 10. No, I don't write like that. I'm sorry. No, but it was fun. It was nice. Good to see it now. Thank you for sending that to me. I checked out an exclusive interview with Open Mike Eagle that Funimation did. It's very short. A little kind of Zoom call type of thing. It may have been a longer interview or something, and they kind of cut it for time or something. It was a lot of like very standard kind of questions, and they don't talk so much about the album that this is from. So Open Mike Eagle, he made an album that has anime in the title. I forget what the name of the album is, though. Wait a sec. Oh. Anime Trauma and Divorce. Which sounds interesting, right? And he has songs on it called Bucharity and I'm a Joestar, and I think it was one like Baka Shinji or like Idiot Shinji. But I was like, you could have done Baka Shinji. Come on. Idiot. It was something like that. It was like Head Ass. Yeah, and I haven't listened to all of the songs myself. I was going to, and then because I saw Anthony Fantano talk about it, and but he gave it kind of a middling review, so I didn't give it. I am under the influence of Anthony Fantano, as you can imagine. But I liked it. I liked that he was willing to come on and talk, and the interview seemed friendly enough. But it was just more like, it didn't seem like it was a conversation so much. I don't know why they presented it like that, when it's like the majority of the video they just kind of give the question in like a graphic, and then he answers it, and there's not like a back and forth with the interviewer. So it didn't really feel like an interview in that way. And yeah, I mean, it just seems kind of a little surface level with his fandom and stuff. And I'm not gonna try gatekeep, right? But it's just it didn't do much for me, like substantially. But in terms of the information, I was like, oh wow, that's really interesting. Makes me want to check the album or something like that. No offense. It's more like, all right. But I thought it was neat and interesting. Something to talk about. That was cool. TazerLad did something kind of different. I guess this is like the first time he's done something like this. It was for Sleepy Princess Gave Me Diabetes and Insomnia. And it seems like more of a kind of a free-form, slightly unscripted type of video. And the cool new thing is that he had face cam. That was the first time showing he's like, yep, this is my face, and you're going to deal with it. And I liked how candid he was, where he's like, have I read this manga? No, I just bought it to do this. Like, he did this thing with the Sleepy Princess and came up. I was like, hey, cool. I cheered. But it's very off script and low stakes and doesn't really have a focus. And I like that he's very transparent about that. And I think the face cam actually contributes to that because it kind of it de-escalates the I have something to say about this show that a lot of like anime YouTubers feel like, is it worth, we always ask the question, is it worth making a video out of, right? And a lot of the times, no. And a lot of us, because we're still in that like comfort zone of I have to make it scripted, I have to, make it sound good and give an idea of it and what direction am I taking this in. But TazerLad kind of just puts that all aside. He just really likes the show on a raw, simplistic level and wanted to talk about it. And I really liked that. And I think his choices of being very upfront and candid, that's like, oh, this video's kind of gone off the rails a little, or unfocused or something. And the kind of the self-awareness that he demonstrated in this video, again, I think really bolstered by his antics on being on camera, like having the book on his head and then, oh, I caught it, oh, it's upside down, and like it didn't feel like super polished, right? And I think that added to it significantly because it was like, oh yeah, it didn't feel like 7 minutes, and that's the other thing. I mean, what he was saying itself about Sleepy Princess was kind of fine, whatever. Although I really did like that he was very aware of the staff behind this, and that they, their previous works, like, yeah, I can see this, the previous people who work on Nozaki-kun and the other, that made sense. And like when he said it, when it was like, oh yeah, they have these comparisons, I was like, oh yeah, I can see that. Yeah, that is good. And it's like, yeah, you can kind of get that vibe. I liked that sense of knowing the people who were making it and things, without making it such a big deal, right? I think that was nice. This was comfy, and I think it's suitable for this type of show, of course. But I would encourage him to make more of this. Actually, you don't have to do it every time, right? But I think it especially works when you're caught in that middle ground of I don't really know I don't know. I want to make a video, but I don't feel that strongly about it. Or what usually happens with me is I want to make a video on it, but I don't know what about. And like, I like it. Oh, well, whatever. A lot of us have that barrier of like, I'm not going to talk about it just because I like it, which is a lot of the case for a lot of shows I like. And it's not like I have something to say about it, I'm in that, I have that barrier myself. And I like that Taser was able to kind of find a route to navigate through that. I thought it was great. It was good to see. It was comfy. I saw another kind of neat video talking about stop gatekeeping anime, and I thought he handled this really maturely. And he usually I like his persona. It's very it's authentic. It doesn't feel like a persona. That's kind of the thing, right? Like he cracks some jokes here and there, but it always feels very human, and I don't know. It doesn't feel like he's trying to make a joke, I guess. It just feels like he's being himself, I guess. And he just seems, personality-wise, I'm sorry I'm focusing so much on this compared to his other content, I guess. But, like, I don't know. I just noticed it more in this video, the way he was tackling this issue of how people react. I like the initial conceit, the kind of the starting point was, like, this very famous person, Addison Rae, I think is her name. She's, like, just bought a Crunchyroll subscription or something like that. And a lot of people, like, gatekeeped her. Or was like, I have to stop watching anime now. Or it's like, you're not allowed to make it cool or something like that. And he kind of talked generally about like where that might stem from. And it was less about like, it felt less in the tunnel. Even though like later in the video, there's things like, oh yeah, I'm cute. I recognize that I do these sorts of things myself. I like that transparency and humility that he showed in the video too, where he was like, he talked about the subs versus dub thing, and he was like, I see where the sub people are coming from, but they're just coming off as dicks when you have the dub people and then the sub people, but then there's this third layer of like, just learn the language and don't watch it with subs, just watch it raw. Which, like, I think it made sense coming from him with like him actually going to Japan and starting to learn Japanese and everything like that, which was really great. And he makes this comparison as like, I'm driving 20 kilometers over the speed limit, and then this other guy passes me who was going 40 miles over the speed limit, and I yell at the 40-mile-per-hour guy when I'm no much better than him when compared to the average Japanese driver who's going the speed limit. Was kind of the comparison he was making, and I like that. I think the core takeaway I was coming from this video was I really liked his demeanor, and I don't know, I just liked his, like, he was very friendly and not trying to be hostile or anything like that, and really very disarming actually. Where he's talking about these very hostile, abrasive comments, and he's like, stop, okay? And he's like kind of being like a Chad about it. Although he's like, look, man, you know, like being really cool about it. I don't know. It's hard to describe, but I was getting that vibe. I just liked how he talked about it, I guess. I think that was my main thing. I was like, yeah, I liked that. I liked that conversation, I think. I thought you handled that really well without being super confrontational yourself about it. Yeah. And there's very vague general feelings, I guess, but I enjoyed that. That was nice. I'm finally covering a video from Kimba's Kingdom, which I've known about this channel for a little bit, but I never really was like, is this video I'm going to click on? Of like kind of a first way to introduce its first entry into Digest sort of deal, because the Kimba's Kingdom is very specific. It is specifically about Kimba the White Lion, the series, and I forget who I found this out about, but anyway, this is a very rare thing actually, because a lot of channels, even the ones that like focus on Dragon Ball Z, like they still like kind of have this air of like, I could talk about other anime, like other shonen anime, but you don't have a channel that's like, hi, welcome to the Tomoko Market channel. You know what I mean? I just happened to see Tomoko Market because I saw Under the Scope's video. You know what I mean? Like, Under the Scope's not targeting himself that way. Or we're the Kyo Animation fan channel. Or I know there's Ava Monkey. Ava Monkey's the other channel I can think of that does this, that specifically hyper focuses on one particular series. But yeah, I just think it's very unique and interesting that there's a whole channel just about Kimba the White Lion. So their video, what version of Kimba should you watch? They go over pretty much every single iteration of Kimba, actually, and they're like, this one's my favorite. This is like kind of the fan favorite, whatever one, the famous one. This one's a little darker and kind of weird, and they kind of go in like descending order. In terms of like, they go from first the TV series, and he's like, if you want the movies, skip to this part. And yeah, they go to. I like that because, but the thing is, he ended up covering every single Kimba series and kind of giving their take on it. And it's like, this one's not great. This one's not fully subbed or fully available sort of deal. This one's difficult to get a hold of. This one's on, but this one's really a good entry point. It seemed like the best version was like, if you want to go for movie and a very immediate one, it seemed like Kimba 1997, the movie, Jungle Emperor Leo, seems like kind of the best one. Not only because it's really like it's super accessible, like it's on Retro Crush, but it's not trying to be super experimental like the 2009, like the most latest film, which is also on Retro Crush. It seems to be like more authentic kind of to the original vision kind of deal. But I liked that, and hearing from that perspective. The editing's kind of interesting, because I haven't seen this, where instead of using a background or just kind of playing filler footage, they basically do both. It's filler footage, but there's like a color mat on top of it And whenever they start talking about a particular series, like the 65 series, it's a 16:9 video, but when they play the 4:3, they only show it when they're actually talking about it. But then when they don't, it's like filler footage back in the background sort of deal. But so it was just kind of an interesting choice, I guess. I've never really seen that, to have like different footage over another footage. You'd think that'd be kind of confusing, but because of the color matte, I know this is very technical and specific, I'm sorry, this is what I remember. Because of the color matte, you don't really notice it all that much, but it kind of adds it. You notice it enough, but it's not distracting. It doesn't feel like weird, like what's going on, something seems wrong kind of deal. I liked that choice. And I don't watch a lot of channels that have this avatar kind of thing where they have like the art in like the corner, like right here, and they have like different expressions and things like that. Usually it's just one open mouth or closed mouth, or one, it's usually the pose that's different. But this particular one, mostly it's one image, but they move the mouth. They don't like make it like this, so they're talking like that. It's more like they open their mouth when the person's talking, and then when they pause, they, and I was like, that's kind of interesting. That's kind of compelling as a visual. Yeah, I know this is very specific as like a video editor thing. But like in terms of video making choice, I think that was really interesting. Because it when you use a character still avatar like that, unless the character is moving kind of like this or something like that, it can be very repetitive, even within the own video. Never mind a bunch of videos, right? If you use the same trick over and over, it can get very stale and repetitive, and then it ends up being like, I'm not really compelled by the material of the video itself so much as listening to it. But I think there was it had a very surreal effect of like, I was really paying attention to the little lion avatar. I don't think that moved ever. I think he stayed in the same corner of the video the entire time. And it was in just enough place where it wasn't super like distracting or anything, but like you noticed it consistently. And then like his mouth would sort of kind of like stay in the same, sort of had kind of a variety of poses. I'm sorry I'm going so into this guy's presentation, I guess, but I just thought it was interesting, and something to it wasn't just like clip selection, yada yada, right? Which a lot of videos kind of feel like, honestly. But yeah, I thought that was really interesting. Anyway, good to see a channel like this. I thought that was, especially like earlier this year, with one of the biggest and most popular videos, anime related videos this year, being a Kimba video that Your Movie Sucks put out, which like I assume that the Kimba fans just love to pieces. They can't, so happy that Kimba got this surge of fans. So happy. I can understand. It's interesting, but like a channel like this is able to crop up and really represent the series and be very thorough about it. It was cute. It was good. It was good to see. I saw STEVEM's latest video on the Legend of Hay, the Chinese Ghibli, and I'm more waiting for some of his other videos that he's got down the pike that are a little more juicy, I guess, that I've been hearing about, that we talk fairly often. But this is still interesting, and I didn't have too much to say about it. I watched it and I enjoyed it. I was happy he talked about it, especially talking about the webtoon, the one that this movie is based on. I actually did not know it had this internet backstory, and it was all web episodes, and you actually got to see this really impressive evolution from the beginning, where they're very humble, and it's the one director doing a bunch of the animations, to it getting better and better and more complex and more ambitious, and even having like brand deals and stuff, to the culmination of it being this really gorgeous, well produced movie. It's really inspiring and interesting. So I had no idea about that, so that was great. And STEVEM's always fantastic at like not dwelling so much on like how good is the film, right? And and everything like that, and more about the pretense and the context. I don't know if pretense is even the right word. Context of the film, and really making you care about it, whether or not, regardless of like you should see it. It's, you know, he's not really concerned about whether you should see it or not, so much as whether you should care or not. And he gets you to care almost without fault. I think he's masterful at it. He's been getting very good at that sort of thing. You know, again, it's not the most juicy, whoa kind of video for me. I don't have much else to say beyond that. But yeah, I'm happy he talked about it, and it's always good to watch videos from him for sure, consistently. And I was sent this video from Sleepy Crest. It's called Deconstructing What Makes a Good Character Design, Fate Edition. Ilya Month Day 4. This is actually seems to be sort of a Mia Mafova that this person's doing. I don't know if they're necessarily calling it that, but it's like a video every day about Fate, and specifically, I guess, about Ilya, the character Ilya from the Fate series. I've only seen Fate Zero. Full disclosure, that is all I've seen, and not like all I care to see. I do want to check out the original Fate. Although I'm just kind of like overwhelmed with where to really start about it. I get like, you know, Dean was made first, and that's kind of the neutral route. And then Unlimited Blade Works is an alternate is the second of 3 routes, and then the trilogy of movies is the other alternative route, and it's basically kind of going with which character you end up with, sort of deal. And sorry if I'm very surface level normie when it comes to this sort of thing. But Sleepy Crest is very much into the Fate series, and I think into Type Moon stuff in general. You know, really has this specifically referencing a lot of this art book from the artist for the Fate series. I forget his name. It's not Nasu. Nasu, I think, is the writer. But like, I didn't really know the designer was a different person, and what his philosophy was. And he's giving a lot of really good quotes. Like this one with like, oh, you never know if it's going to be a good decision or not. And it's like really philosophically interesting. And then Sleepy Quest contextualizes it with like talking about Ilya's bloomers. It's like cool. So I mean I think it's hard to describe really. It's hard to describe. You can really tell that Sleepy Crest is a Fate fan. And not in a bad way. In a way that, like, he's really, really read into this, knows the intention of the creators, really cares about each of these individual characters that he talks about here, talking about Saber's design and their other design. Gilgamesh is the other one I remember the name of. Again, I haven't seen this series. And I thought there was a lot of great detail in really describing each section and how that's really integral and ideal for their characterization. And I thought that was good. I was a little remiss. I wanted to know more with like kind of the philosophy of designing characters for a visual novel, where because I think that's where that's pretty much where the designs that Sleepy Crest was analyzing. Not necessarily like the anime or anything, but taking the original models from the visual novel. I would have loved to hear more on a technical sense of like the decision to, okay, you have 5, how many models of this one character can you have reasonably, right? And it's like, this is what they decide. These are the selection of Saber models that they choose from. And so how does this characterize her? And also going piece by piece. I really like that Sleepy Crest really went piece by piece by it. Also just generally like the facial structure and I don't know, those sort of things I was always interested about Fate, because they are very attractive designs. And it's interesting, and it's very successful designs, of course, because those have obviously I don't forget the name of it. I don't know the word. Spread. I don't know. They've really kind of like evolved into the gacha designs and this whole Fate Grand Order thing. A lot of them kind of based on this initial property, which became very successful. So to kind of dig into that would have been really interesting. But I liked how focused it was. And again, it totally makes sense that it's made this way, because this is a part of a Mia Matha that Super Crest is making like several videos at a time and releasing them each day for 30 days, I assume is the plan. I didn't watch the initial announcement video, I guess, for this. This is the only video I watched. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was very thorough, and I really enjoyed it. Sorry to be redundant, as usual. But thank you. It was False Shepherd who sent me that. Thank you very much. Glass Reflection putting out another video similar to his Hidden Gem video, where it kind of unintentionally became a sort of response, like a two-part video, where and I think he's really the way he framed it at the beginning made me think, because like he wants comment participation and to hear from the audience of what they think the best first episodes of anime are. But yeah, it's good that he's encouraging that comment participation and making a second part video. I'm not guaranteeing that, I don't know, but I really like that if that's the case. But then the meat of the video, I think I personally could take it or leave it. I thought it was happy. I was happy with the concept just in general, just being able to talk about it and not just another review sort of deal. Again, a lot of people, I think he spent doing reviews for so long, a lot of people really know him as that guy. So I like that he's doing a lot more of these videos, and I always want to push that out and recommend that to you guys. But the first episodes he chose here generally were pretty good. He mentioned how towards the beginning how there really isn't an anime that you love that has a really bad first episode. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, yeah, huh. Or like the first episode is really integral to it being a favorite sort of deal. So I looked at my list of like shows I marked as like great, like the highest rating I can give on my Kitsu, and there's only one show that I could find that was like, yeah, that's not a good first episode, but the rest of it I like, and that was Yakitate Japan, the bread making food anime, like bunch of tournaments and stuff. It's like 3 consecutive tournament arcs, but the first episode, it doesn't really introduce you to a lot of the characters. It just kind of gives you the backstory of like why this character likes bread so much, and it doesn't really get into it doesn't really give you so many food reactions or any of the funny characters or dynamics that really make it a fun show. I don't think it sets itself up all that well in that regard. It's not memorable in that way. I just remember it being particularly weak. But I really like that show. But that's the only one I can think that was really poor. But I agree for the most part, especially my top 10. I think probably the weakest out of my top 10 in terms of first episodes would be Kaiji. I've seen that episode a bunch of times because I watch it with a bunch of different people. So that's one of the few that I've seen more than a few times actually. And it's the same issue where it's like I just want to get to the fun part, the part that's like really engaging with the whole game thing and the tension that comes with that and all the things that I love about Kaiji. Isn't present in the first episode because it's setting up who this guy is and the debt and everything. I get why it's there, but I just don't think it jumps into it doesn't even tell you the rules. Like he gets to the game at the end of episode 1, and I guess that's a pretty good. It's pretty effective to get you to watch the second episode, maybe, but it's not that like hook. It's not like as strong, I guess. The ones I ended up commenting on his video that I thought were the best were or on High School Host Club. Consistently, I always thought was one of my favorite first episodes. Yu Yu Hakusho, pretty easy favorite. A lot of people like that first episode. Ojamaja Doremi, actually, obviously Ojamaja Doremi is fantastic, but the first episode characterizes her so perfectly, like gives everything you need for it, and it doesn't introduce everybody, but if you like the designs and the aesthetic and the feel of that show, you get it in the first episode, like succinctly, like perfectly. First couple of minutes, it's excellent. And Ashino Joe, of course. Of course I like the first episode a fuck ton. But I always, especially the first like 15 seconds, first like minute, the way that I have to stop, shut up. The way the way the first minute plays out and how devastating and like dreary it is, and it's so compelling and like, whoa. It's just, it catches you really strong. I love it. And yeah, I've watched that first episode a bunch of times too. Anyway, but like, the first episodes that Glass Reflection was bringing up, ReZero, Death Parade, Gurren Lagann, yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good first episode, I suppose. What was some other ones? Made in Abyss. Made in Abyss was a good choice. I agree with Made in Abyss for sure. Elfen Lied. That was one choice where I was like, I don't know. Not like I actually haven't seen it, but from what I understand, I've seen that opening scene, and he's talking about that and how strong and effective that is, and I agree it's very memorable. But that's not the whole episode. That's like the first 5 minutes. And then there's an entire rest of the episode, which is like more of like what Elfen Lied is like. Again, not that I've seen Elfen Lied. I've been pretty healthily steered away from it, from people. Although to be fair, I really should get to it at some point because it is pretty important to fans of the era. But yeah, it was interesting to get that vibe and to get that thought experiment, I guess. It get my brain not going through all the episodes. Yeah, that episode was pretty good, and think, I like the sort of things that generate discussion. That's fantastic. And I watched the new Under the Scope video. First time I talked about his channel in a while. The power of color design in Tamako Love Story. Now, to be perfectly fair, I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Tamako Love Story. I'm not like, I don't hate it. It just really didn't. I was not really impressed with it. I thought it was fine, but the way it was hyped and the way I was very much looking forward to it, it was the hype got to me, basically. I wasn't the biggest fan of it. So, I mean, getting into an analysis video, a 20-minute analysis video of it, I'm not the most enthused about, but it was the first time in a while that Jack's been doing something kind of like this, because a lot of the other things have been a little more general, I guess. Finally another video I can really sink my teeth into kind of deal. So I was like, yeah, I've been meaning to do that. And color design video, pretty cool. You don't see that very often. And I think it's good for the most part. The thing is, a lot of it kind of went in one ear out the other. I thought there was a lot of focus on general color theory and also just Yamada's about Yamada's work in general, and not so much about it didn't feel very focused on Tamako Love Story. I didn't feel like he was able to really coalesce a specific vision and like really how integral color is to this film in particular. I was kind of more of expecting a stronger message in that way, but it felt like he talked more about general color design theory in Kyoto Animation's work, talking a lot about Silent Voice. And the minute he started talking about Hyoka, I'm like, I don't care, dude. I'm here to talk. I'm here to hear you about Tamako Love Story. It just felt like he was filling out time. He couldn't find enough to talk about Tamako Love Story, I guess. That's what it came off to me as. Which, like, it's disappointing for me. Maybe that wasn't fully the intention. That's kind of what it felt like. But I think his real grasp of the technical side and reading these interviews and these quotes and learning about the specific job that anime has, the color coordinator, I believe is the task. That was really interesting to hear. And I loved hearing about that sort of stuff. That's always very valuable. I just think it was a little too all over the place with like talking about other stuff, and it didn't feel focused on Love Story in particular. I thought the opening was really strong, talking about how the mood of the scene changes with the color, with like a lighter color, and then it gets darker and more saturated and redder as the temperature kind of heats up, kind of deal of the scene. That the scene really builds and builds and builds. I like that, and I wish there was more specific scenes like that. It really wasn't doing it for me. And I'm sorry, but it just, the way that the narration was going on, it wasn't like, it didn't feel very driving and like, here's the go beat by beat. I think it was a little too more generalized and technical, and you spent like 7 minutes or however long it was using other anime and just general color theory. And I feel like you really could have just focused on Tamako Love Story and communicate those ideas using Tamako Love Story, not simply just the editing or the visuals of the video itself, because I could tell you were just talking technically or generally. But I think if you really used scenes like that scene you talk about in the beginning, and you use that as this is their philosophy here, and talking about color theory in that way, that it's more guided and more, it feels like you're following it basically. So it wasn't the easiest thing for me to follow, and I wasn't able to really keep anything in my head sort of deal of what the lesson was. So when the credits played, I was like, okay. What was... I didn't really get much out of it. I'm sorry this is way more critical than positive. Again, I think your comprehension of this stuff is fantastic, and I always like the vibe that your videos have, both with your performance and with Nice's editing. It's always very sharp stuff. I liked the color, like the palette thing that Nice was doing with the bringing the boxes up like that. Although there's one point that's a little silly to me, where you were talking about kind of like the loneliness and of being a teen and everything like that, and you have like the night sky, and Nice just picks out 5 slightly different shades of black for the night sky, and I'm like, I don't know, I wasn't really getting. I audibly was like, what? It's like, I don't, and I couldn't pay attention to what you were saying in that moment because I was just distracted by like, but she's wearing pink. So what does that have to do with like I think what was striking about that scene is that she's wearing pink against this black thing, like this very warm color against the dark colors and stuff. But it's all, and then the samplings that Nice showed was a bunch of black. So I was like, huh? That is something I was noticing. It was like, okay, I liked the I'm sorry, this is all over the place as usual. The Tamako Market. I was just thinking about it. The contrast that you were showing with Tamako Market versus Tamako Love Story, with the difference in compositing, I guess, but just general color selection, where it was a lot more bright and clear in Market, and then Love Story is a little more soupy and dark, where their futures are uncertain, I think is something you said in there, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. I don't know, it was just like little things I was able to pick up, they were able to stick, but I don't know, it was fine. I'm sorry, it was way more harsh than usual. That's just something I was like, I would love to talk about this, but I don't have much to say about it. The most I can say is how little I was able to really pick up on stuff. And yeah, I'm sorry I'm so harsh on it. I think I'm more harsher on Jack than a lot of creators, to be honest with you. And I can't tell you why. I think it's because like I could tell he can make really dope him and Nice can make really, really dope shit. And it's not like he's falling short, like, oh, you're failing or something, or I'm frustrated by your work. It's not like that, nothing like that. It's just like, it didn't really do it for me that time. Oh well, and it might be the subject matter again. It might just be that I'm not like, yes, if you're talking about something I love, I'll obviously be more engaged with it, right? That will probably be a part of it. I think I'd pay more attention with like, because like Liz and the Bluebird. I fucking love Liz and the Bluebird. So, if it was a video on that, I'd be like, oh, dead ass? That's an example. But it was just not focusing enough on Tamako Love Story, not really much of a narrative or driving thing that I was able to really latch onto. I don't know. Yeah. But I did enjoy it for what it was. I'm sorry, I'm so fucking harsh on you, dude. It just gives me, I'm just saying it's the high standards. I really expect a lot and from you, because I hold you in high regard, both you and Nice, in terms of the craft on display as well. So maybe that's why. Just take that as a compliment. Jesus. And then I'm going to talk about a JaxBlade video. I trained like Goku for 30 days. Tough like the tunes, episode 50. 50 episodes of taking a character, seeing based on what their workout regimen is and how they train and to get their specific physiques, and doing like that. And in this one, Jack was really cared a lot about this one. That's why I clicked on it, really, because I could tell that was huge. It's like, I would have expected you have done one about Goku already. And he's like, I saved Goku because he's like my favorite character, and it's great that he did that, I think, because it shows he had all this experience reading into these characters and really doing them justice. And he had a lot of limitations and things because of the pandemic. But I really like that he really gave it his all, and it's not the end. He actually it's more multi-layered, and he actually went through with the workout for 30 days, unlike, I guess, a lot of his other Tough Like the Tunes, where he would mostly just talk about the potential idea to make a training plan to get the types of results and bodies that these characters have, and working out like them. Because he put so much stock into Goku and he's really a strong influence on him, he actually really wanted to go through with it. And I really like the variety of workouts that he had that are very based on the series. I'm actually watching through Dragon Ball right now, the original. So some of the workouts you talked about, I actually was, because we just got into the Master Roshi training Krillin and Goku for the World Martial Arts Tournament. And the whole, like, carrying the milk everywhere and the digging the plows and stuff like that. And watching those episodes recently was really great to see this. And I liked that he really cared, and he had like an awareness of the people, of the situation around him, where he's like, yeah, I know a lot of you guys have made these kind of Goku videos because, of course, he's not the only fitness anime type of YouTuber, although he's certainly one of the most successful, and I think one of the best ones, easily, because he really has a knowledge, not just of fitness, but of the anime. As a fan, he's not just doing this for views. He's not just doing this as kind of appropriating the aesthetic or the appeal. You like Dragon Ball, kids? Like really coming from a fan and reading and watching it and rereading and rewatching it and being as authentic as possible as a genuine fan. He's the real deal, and I love that about him. Again, I talked about this in a previous video, a previous digest that I talked about his content. Again, it's very unfocused. It feels a lot like a rant and not so structured as I would like it to be. It takes a long time to actually start to get to the training. And I get how much he cares about this particular subject, and about Goku. And he's very passionate about it, and it's not boring. But he takes like 9 minutes to start actually talking about the workout, right? And to get to the meat of the video. And that's kind of a long time. Again, I enjoy the 9 minutes beforehand because he's a very affable personality, and I love hearing about his passion and stuff like that, and how much this means to him. That's great. But it just felt like very meandery, very repetitive, and loose. It didn't feel very succinct and like, I don't know, in that way. It didn't feel very polished, I guess. Yeah, I think that's generally it. I really like his passion and approach to it, and he's a real deal. It's just not the most succinct. It's 30 minutes, right? It's more like 15 minutes of content, but I enjoy. I don't hate listening to 30 minutes. Like, oh, get to the point or something like that. I think it could be a better video for it, though. But yeah, I enjoy it. It's good. All right, let's talk about what I thought were the best videos of the week. Oh man, we're already into an hour. This is a long digest. It's like it was a super prolific week. It was just like a lot of different stuff. It was kind of interesting. illdie, I would like to start with the best videos. Put out another Queen AMV, another using a Queen song with Golden Boy Bicycle. I did not look on YouTube for if this has already been done. It has to be. It just has to be, because it's so obvious and like no brainer. Like this had to have come out in like the 2000s. Like this is so obvious and so on the nose, and I like that. I love that shit. And I think illdie takes complete advantage of it. The kind of absurdity of the song and kind of idiosyncratic it is, and quirky. It completely embodies. It's perfect for Golden Boy, And he uses the exact right clips. And like a third of the way through, I'm like, I bet he's using the bicycle race for like the climax. And he does. And it's like, it's exactly what you would want. If you were like, make a Golden Boy AMV using the Queen's bicycle. This is what I would make. This is what I would make. I'd make this therefore it's good. It's, nothing like that. I'm just saying, I was like, as someone who makes these sort of things, I was like, yes, exactly. It's like, yes, perfect. The syncopation was great, and the clip selection and bringing the girls together towards the end, and having an understanding of Kentaro, the main character here, with it's perfect. It's a great AMV. I think it's a little too on the nose. So that was my only thing about it. I'm like, this has to have been made before. Like, this has to have. And if it is, it's like, fine, sorry. But it's like, well, I saw it, and I'm like, this is if it does exist, I will be interested to see if it's better than this one, because this was not only like obvious in premise, but it was exactly what you want in execution, which is great. It's fantastic. Very good. I watched a video from We've Got Issues. I don't remember where I found or saw this guy. Somebody may have sent it to me. But let me check his channel again. I think he's like new. But oh my god. It's Doyens of Destruction, 50 years of Lupin the Third. Yeah, he's like less than 500. He's 166 subs. But he started like 3 years ago, and he has very polished thumbnails and very polished videos. Wow. This is a really, really nicely edited Lupin video. And the guy kind of knows his shit just by the choice of Lupin. He's using Cagliostro, he's using Fuma, he's using the Koike trilogy, he's using part 4 and 5. The good shit, out of the vastness of the franchise. And I am you're first listening to me, some of you may already know this, I'm very recently have finished binging all of Lupin the Third. Not all of it all at once. I did watch part 1 a couple years ago, part 4 and 5 when it came out, Cagliostro when I was a kid, and I've watched it like 40 times. But just this past month, I made the decision to marathon the rest of part 2 that I had, and watch all of part 3, and watch all of the TV specials and movies, which, if you've seen most of them, is not a great idea. Not to binge them, but to see them at all. I'm sorry. So I'm intending on making a Lupin video. No guarantees, of course. I don't want to promise anything, but like, I'm thinking about it. And so this is me watching this. I'm like, what do we got? And I liked his approach. He didn't talk so much about the people behind it. For how much he really liked the detail of the guns and the cars and how much he knew about that and talking about it, which I enjoyed. I really liked that perspective. It's a shame that he didn't talk about Otsuka, Yasuo Otsuka, who's one of the real figureheads of Lupin the Third as an anime, as a mechanical designer, a vehicle designer, someone who's really integral in why the cars look so accurate and specific, and like they know their shit when it comes to cars or guns and stuff like that. A little talk about that would have been nice. But really, the thing that pushes it over the edge for one of the best videos this week is the editing. A lot of masking, a lot of smart transitions and cuts, a lot of nice stuff. Some of it a little transparent, a lot of things you can see as an editor. You're like, oh, I see that you took like that shot from Cagliostro that have Lupin and Jigen together, and then you kind of stitched Goemon and Fujiko next to each other from part 4, and then there's a little having them there. I was like, okay, yeah. Things that are transparent like that. But I enjoyed the video from an experiential perspective, and really enjoying it as a franchise, and it's more positively spun, like this is a cool franchise sort of deal. And gives a list of recommendations at the bottom. Although I don't know why you don't list Fuma Conspiracy, even though you use plenty of clips from it. Why? It's like, and also you're taking Cagliostro's trash, my guy. It's perfect all the way through. I don't know what you're talking about, this Bond villain third act shit. The Count is in the whole movie. He shows up at like the 20-minute mark. Like it's not like the other Lupin movies where there's a fucking twist villain and it's like, oh, actually, no. No, anyway, I'm a little passionate about Lupin the Third as someone who's binged most of it recently and have very strong opinions. But I really liked it, and again, like the you pretty much picked out exactly the right ones to show as like the best that Lupin has, that in my opinion. Yeah, but I really enjoyed that. It was really good. Bonsai Pop's Naruto video. Naruto is way better than you think. He really sold this. You would think that it's like, oh, Naruto, whatever. But he really leans into that as like, I was one of those guys in high school who thought it was the cringiest shit. Never got into it. And he only watched it in his 20s recently. And he's like, know thy enemy. You know, it's like, I should check this out. There's got to be something about it that people like about it. And it became one of his favorite anime. And he's saying, like, watch all of it. And he was really convincing me to watch it. Because my plan, I've been watching Bleach, and I'm almost done with it. I have to, I just have Fullbringer arc left, but I want to watch all the filler that I skipped first, just for whatever reason, because I'm crazy. But then afterwards, I was planning on reading Naruto, because I heard so much about kind of the really unbearable filler and the amount of, not like non-canon stuff, but just the way that it extends the story and integrates it in a way that's very difficult to skip, and it's a sludge, and all of the very long flashbacks to already established things, and you're reinforcing things that don't need to be reinforced, especially if it's a marathon watch. You're not watching it over the course of several years. Things that I've heard about the anime have turned me off to it very substantially. But I think he did a really good job bringing me back, and was like, no, you should watch it. I think that it gives a lot of extra characterization, which I like that. And I have seen some really good stuff from it on a visual, like, experiential aesthetic standpoint. So it's a tough call. I don't know if I'm going to watch it. Still not sure. But he does recommend, like, or read it. It's still a great story. And I really liked that it was so refreshing for a Naruto video, because it just feels like for such a big franchise and for something that people have talked their asses out for years about, it just felt so simple as like, it's about this kid, underdog. He has this, everyone can relate to this idea of wanting something and pursuing it, and the hardship along the way, and the people who are better than you at it, and your relationship with them, and getting respect, and seeing. And he was talking about his own anime YouTube journey, and how like him and Eyepatch Wolf released an Outlaw Star video together. He's like, Eyepatch Sama, you know, Eyepatch Sensei. You know, that was cool. That was really great to see, because I definitely feel that, and I've communicated that in my own Gurren Lagann video too. That idea of inspiration, seeing other people doing better than you, and how that feels, and how you use that to your advantage, sort of deal. How you channel that. I liked it. So obviously this tickled my my fancy. So I really enjoyed it on that level. That was great. Hiding in Public had a video that was a little weird and unorthodox for him, and he acknowledges it. The Case of the Anime Artist Camping Cult. It's this weird fixation with Eurocamp still getting pretty consistently fresh art, when it's a show that's like, it came out 2 years ago. That doesn't usually happen. And it's not like it was a popular show either. It's not like the DVD sold out that well. So why is it? And he really goes into why that might be the case with it's just so perfect. Look at it, you know, and kind of like teasing with this idea of it being a cult, and he's like, it's much darker, but actually it's not that dark. It's join the cult, and he kind of like embraces that sort of deal. It was very weirdly edited, with a lot of like live action footage, and the way things would be moving, and him liking this bot Twitter user that just posts like the same 30 screen caps of the same character. So it was a lot of weird, different stuff, and I actually really liked it from him. I don't have much to complain about, so it was really like yeah, that was great. That was really interesting, and I liked that he was experimenting and doing different stuff. I also like the kind of transparency he was demonstrating, where it was like, you know, I can't deal with losing very well in terms of the the copyright strike he got recently from this company or whatever. I think that was a lot of. I like that he's very upfront about that, and that's part of the content. Himself and what he's going through is something he integrates, and not something he's trying to like push to the side. It's integrated. It's really really nice. So I really enjoyed that. It was really cool. Good to see as a kind of a unique, different sort of thing. And it's also getting really fucked on the algorithm. So give it a view if you can. Give it a share. Marion Bea is finally back. God, make a video. 80s horror shoujo, evil twins, superpowers, and world domination. Talking about the if you saw Core's 1989 series, the one that he talked about with the twin girls who are psychic and one of them's evil and the other one's good, and they just have to kind of fight it out, and there's like a 3-episode OVA. Marion Bea basically talks about that, as well as the author. I actually really liked that she started with like a third of the video explicitly talking about the author of this manga and her other work and what she's kind of into and things like that. And again, I really like Marion Bea's reaction faces and her very genuine takes on these things without, and it feels so separate from, it felt so like very compartmentalized of like, this is what's significant and interesting and different and important about this series that makes you care about it. Also, this is kind of sus, or like, this is not great, you know, or like, it's kind of flimsy. She's able to kind of parse that, and I really like that about her content. And I was noticing she was kind of starting to use a lot more repetitive tricks with the mirror effect and replicate and making these kind of really cool effects. But it's like, it's cool looking. You just keep doing it. It's still cool, you know? And I'm like, that's fair. I did the same, you know, when that happens with my Berserk video, like the Gatsu video where it has the after images and shit. It's like, yeah, of course I'm going to stretch that out for the whole video. Will I do it again? I don't know. But I was noticing that it's in a couple of her videos now. But that's okay. It lends to a very deliberate, specific aesthetic, and I always love that about channels. You're able to stand out on a visual level. Like, you, without clicking on the thumbnail or hearing the voice, if you watch the video, you can guess if it's this person, if it's a person made by this person, right? It's like, oh yeah, that's a Marion Bea video. Oh yeah, that's a Beyond Ghibli video. Oh yeah, that's a Pause and Select video. Right? I like that. I like that in creators for sure. Anyway, of course I like this video. It was good. I actually watched the whole stream of this first stream, but they actually streamed throughout this week. Striving for Animation finally came back after a while. Very valuable channel of actual Japanese animators, and they're not Japanese. They both live in the United States. I don't know if maybe they have some Japanese descent. I don't know. I'm sorry, freaking that up. They both like, when I say like Japanese, I mean like they literally do animation for anime. Like they do work on anime like legit. Like, oh, that's my cut. Like I looked up one of these guys' artists on one of the artists here who were talking on Sakaguboru. He has plenty of cuts from like Beyblade or whatever. I'm like, oh my god, that's incredible. It's legit. And so they're making this. They have this whole channel. If you don't know, they have a whole channel and a Discord, and a whole enterprise of really educating people about the process. And they're making this particular animation as an exercise for that. So the stream was literally them working on this animation, and so one person was doing the whole work, and basically this one that I put in the playlist was anime cell painting in CSP, and it's just coloring it in like that, and it's monotonous, and it really makes you appreciate the hard work that actually goes into making the anime that you like or don't like. Just in general, I think it makes it more difficult for me to really shit on an anime or to really criticize it in that way. I think I've become a lot softer overall as a critic because I watch videos like this and I see how much time it takes to make something like this and the amount of work that goes into it. Regardless of my feelings on it, it's still really hard work, and I want to give it the respect it deserves, always. I don't want to just say it's bad, right? But that was very valuable. And the chat was very active with a lot of questions, and they really only interacted very formally like that. It was like they answered very legitimate questions, and it was very, very insightful. And there's multiple hour-long streams of this that came out this week. And they're all archived there, and it's very valuable. I think it's great to watch and great to experience. Granted, it's a lot of content, but hey, if you you have things that you want to, if you need something in the background to listen to, not like that, right? It's, uh, not the best compliment, a little backhanded, but like I think it's super valuable, and I love anything that these guys do. I think it's fantastic, and anytime they're active, so by all means, I'm going to shout them out. It's fantastic. So I have not been watching Argonbolt's Rebirth of Mecha series after I reviewed his Fall of Mecha video, which was fantastic. But I got this pushed several times in multiple channels, and then I saw Ollie retweet it, and I was like, oh, okay. Because Argonbolt is very specifically targeting this idea of mecha anime being dead and the claim, and he's bringing in that third nuanced take. And he had the term for it. It was a psychological term where it's like, here's an argument, and the counter argument swings way too far down the other way, and it ends up settling somewhere in the middle. It's a little more nuanced. It's kind of both in a way, and I really liked that he made a video talking about this, because he addresses Digi and Giguk, although I don't know if he watched Digi's latest video on Mecha that he put out a couple months ago, when he made that sports anime video in response to my digest. He, like, the same day, at the time, I'm sorry, it's Digi's day at this point. Digi, or she, I'm sorry. Damn it. Fuck. But at the time, Digi had made a similar video about mecha. And so I think I think she's really come around on it more than I think Argonbolt was giving her credit for in this video. But like, it is also largely targeting Giguk, and because he's the one really spreading this idea. But then Argonbolt spends just as much time on the counter argument of it. No, it's doing great, guys, and he specifically targets Ollie and his article about this of countering mecha and everything. And that article is what prompted me to start doing those weekly streams on this channel about mecha anime being dead, and going through all the mecha series and really counting it categorically, like how much was made kind of deal, and how much new stuff was made, like new IPs, and really getting a quantitative look at it. So I thought that was great that he pushed counter argument to that, and gave a third nuanced take. I actually watched this yesterday. I don't remember why. I don't know why I didn't watch it today, but it was... But, I really liked it. I was happy to watch it. And it is kind of part 8 out of 9 out of this Rebirth of Mecha thing. And he only references one of his previous videos in that series in this video. So it's actually very self-contained. I will confirm. A lot of people was confirming that to me, too. It was like, should I watch this? I was like, I'm not sure. And they're like, nah, you could probably... It's pretty standalone. I was like, great. So, pushing that for you. I think that's a really good watch. And I think for the best video, even though I was expecting more out of it, I was watching the video kind of like, I wish this was more. Sorry to paint it. I'd started to already throw a bucket of cold water on it. But I think it was probably out of these videos this week, which is a lot of videos. Oh my gosh. I think this was the best one I watched. Berserk and Surrealism by Leonardo Da Sidci, or Sid Course, is I guess the kind of the series. This is a Discord. My name's Sid, and the polish of this video is very, very good. As someone who's made a Berserk video similar to this, with moving the manga panels and all that, and doing the fun things, and I know it's a fun series to make videos out of. You can do a lot of cool stuff and do all the cutouts and all the movements, and fun. It's a good-looking video, a very good-looking video. And he focuses mainly on the influence that Berserk got from surrealist sources, in particular Salvador Dali and a lot of these other artists. And he talked about the movement of surrealism and how it affects Berserk. I wish he got into it a little sooner, because the way he was like kind of really giving a pretense for Berserk, and then it was like, we're going to talk about the influences of Berserk. I was like, wow, I made a video like that. What do you got? There certainly are. And he brings up this quote where Miura's like, yeah, I got from Violence Jack and Gween Saga. And he mentions that, but then he's like, we're going to talk about Salvador Dali. And I was like, okay, let me hear about Salvador Dali. And it was just this one painting. And then he talks about this one painting and what that means for Griffith and his parallel of Narcissus. I thought it was very sound. It was very, very interesting and good. But I really wanted to talk about Salvador Dali. I don't know much about him, but his work seems very interesting. And I thought that it wasn't simply the subject matter that he was talking about, which like, he makes a lot of connections with how Salvador Dali's painting a lot of eggs in his work. And eggs are very prevalent in Berserk for, metamorphosis, et cetera, et cetera. And so I think the reading of Berserk was good. And I think the idea of the subconscious influence and drawing these connections were all sound. And again, it's a very polished video. All of those factors together, again, with the performance as well, I think all of it together made for a very good video. I just, as someone who's made a video like this, about Gurren Lagann, I really wish he focused mostly on Salvador Dali. And it felt more like a Berserk video than its influences of Berserk. And as someone who made that and chose the other direction where I focused mostly on the influence and introducing that to the audience who probably already knew what Gurren Lagann was, because that was my thing, right? It was like Berserk is such a popular series, and the people who are going to click on this video are Berserk fans. They'll click on anything, my guy. This is a popular subject on YouTube. So you really don't have to make this whole thing and selling the idea of Berserk so much as I would wish that it was more about Salvador Dali and like giving them these images and like, this is what this is probably based on. Like, I'm so happy you mentioned the 2-page spread of, it's one of the God Hands. I forget which God Hand. But the particular God Hand that is more absurdist, or it's not Void, it's not the woman, it's not Conrad, Oblid, I forget his name, shit. But it was like absurdist, and he's basing it off this Renaissance painting. And learning more about those Renaissance paintings, and you were listing a couple other paintings and stuff, that was so interesting. And like, mind expanding. Good food is what I'm fucking talking about. And the Dali stuff was fantastic. I just wish there was more of that, and that was my only thing that I was looking for here. I thought it was fantastic in that way. I also really liked that you chose, I don't know where you got it, or maybe it was original compositions. I should have looked at the credits. But I was noticing you didn't really use the original compositions for the 97 soundtrack. You were using original compositions I'd never heard of Beylit, Forces, Guts, other Blood and Guts. Maybe the original of Blood and Guts. I think it may have been the original composition for that. As a video editor who's edited for Berserk, I literally edited a Berserk video this week. As someone who edits with these OSTs all the time, I just thought it was really great and interesting that it was more of a softer, more video-friendly, I guess, instrumentation of those tracks, and it was very tasteful and very good. I thought it was very polished and very fantastic. I really liked this video. I thought it was the best one. That is as much praise as I can give it. Oh, and thank you, Beyond Ghibli, for sending me that video, for sure. And thank you all for watching this installment of AniTube Digest. Thank you to my patrons, as usual, including Beamburst, Hazel, Kuiper, MyAnimePod, Najbeb, Neil S., Tippy Mango, Unique Nameosaurus, and Yellow Cheese. You guys are great. Have a great week. Yo, peace.